For today, we're going to go ahead and do this virtually. And for today, I figured I would do something kind of special for you guys. So I asked a gentleman by the name of Dan Kitajima to join us. Some of you may have heard of him. Dan's he's a phenomenal agent out of Orange, California. And Dan's got one heck of a story to share with you guys. And he's going to come on and I'm going to ask him several questions today. And I want you guys to join in as well and ask any questions that you may have about how he came to Farmers, how he built his agency, and how he became so successful. So I figured I would spend maybe about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes kind of talking with Dan. And after that, we want to go ahead and celebrate your success here, and then we can do whatever we want after that. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of kick that off and get Dan started here. I guess the first slide I have here is Dan's team. Dan has 10, maybe 11 individuals that work for him. Again, he's in Orange, California, and give me the next slide there, Kelsey. Thank you. Yep. So just a little bit about Dan. Obviously, a lot on the screen here, but Dan's been with Farmers now since 2007, and he's got quite the list of accomplishments here, as you can see. But most recently, last year, he was Farmers Insurance Personal Lines Agent of the Year. No small accomplishment by any means. So a lot of the questions I'm going to ask him are, how did he get here? How did he find that much success? What is he doing? I'm sure you guys all have those same questions. He's most recently a President's Council member, the top of the top, and perennial Topper Club agent and so forth. So we're going to get started with Dan. He's on the phone with us right now. So I'm going to start with Dan and ask him the first question. And we're going to go ahead and flip the slide. So Dan, what brought you to Farmers Insurance, and what did you do prior to being at Farmers Insurance?
Yeah, hey Matt, and hey District. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. It's a huge honor to be here, on an award ceremony too. So yeah, I hope I could bring some value before you present the awards to everybody. But yeah, to answer your question, what brought me to Farmers? Well, I was actually an employee at AAA. It was a call center environment, and that's really right out of college. I got my first job there, and they got me licensed, and they trained me how to sell insurance, personal lines mostly. It was a call center environment where there was a lot of phone calls coming in, a lot of follow-ups, a very aggressive insurance sales atmosphere. Over probably like 200 agents there, and I was one of the top agents there for the 3 years I was there. And then things didn't work out there. We won't go into those details. But after that, my dad is an entrepreneur, so I kind of felt like, hey, I'm ready to, now that I know how to sell insurance, I wanted to start my own thing. And I just talked to the major agencies, major companies, and Farmers really was the one that really felt like wanted me the most, and it was actually the easiest to get started too. So that's kind of how I got into Farmers, and it's been just an incredible opportunity, and I'm so thankful of the companies and how it has changed not only my family's lives but my staff's lives as well.
Excellent. So next question I had, Dan, is last year, I don't know how you did this. It's remarkable. You sold 5,669 new business units. How did you do that? What did you do?
Well, Matt, I think I'm going to have to correct you with this question, because out of those 569 policies, I think I sold probably like 50 of them. So I definitely didn't sell them. My team did. In fact, maybe 50 is exaggeration. I sold 2 policies last month. So really, it's a testament to my team's effort. I think a lot of it does have to do with marketing. I think we've got to start there. One of the things I do believe in is that we have to spend money on marketing. And to go back to your first question, what did I do before Farmers? So when things didn't work out at AAA, that was back in 2007. There was a little poker boom going on in the country, especially in Southern California too. A lot of casinos and high-stake poker was pretty popular. Worcester's a poker. I'm not sure if you guys remember that era, but I got really into poker, and I wasn't really that good at it. So I was used to losing money, But I think that experience taught me that, because sometimes I would get lucky too, that, hey, I have to spend the money to have a chance to win the money. Very early on, I was ready because, at AAA it was really busy. The phones were ringing, things were happening. And when I first started at the agency, my own agency, I told the story before, but the very first day, I sold my own policy. I didn't have insurance at that time because I knew I was going to start. So, it lasts for a couple of weeks, no big deal, right? Um, I stole my own policy. I stole my parents' policy. Loved them to death. They support me 100%. I think that's a big part of the story, is having parents that supported me. My story. So two cars in their home, and I called it a day, and I thought really good about myself. Next day, nothing was happening. I had nobody to talk to. It was just, and I'm kind of still am someone who really needs a lot of action going on. So back then in 2007, I just went to Google and I typed in insurance leads, and all these companies came up, and I started calling them, and I just started putting, $1,000 down here, $1,000 down there. It was just, for me, it was just the willingness to lose and to learn. And I think that has translated into 13 years later, spending the money on marketing. So to answer your question, Matt, I think a lot of it is that, I do spend quite a bit on marketing. And then marketing and staffing, that's really the short version to the answer is invest heavily on marketing and then in staff too. So staffing, when it comes to staffing, we have to hire them, train them, motivate them, compensate them. There's a lot, as guys know, a lot of challenges when it comes to, staffing. But that's the short version of my question is to sell that many policies, and I'm definitely on pace, and my ambitions are higher this year, is to just keep putting more money into marketing and staffing. It's kind of after 13 years, it's kind of an easier equation. You have more trust in it because the math has shown that how much you spend right now directly correlates to how much you make later. It doesn't help right now, that's for sure. But having a long-term view and understanding that we're making investments, and that's really the business owner mentality we need to have, rather than a sales agent mentality, because it is a little better when you sell it yourself, and maybe you are better than selling it for your staff. But to scale a business, there's only so much one person could do, and having a team is really and building that team is really where all my attention is right now.
One of the questions I had for you was, tell us more about your team, and what incentives do you offer them?
Yeah, sure, Iggy. My team is the best. They do everything. I really appreciate them. So, a lot of things that I offer is just, gratitude. First of all, I thank them. I appreciate them. I value them. I think that's the most basic level, respect them. And then let's be honest, they're not here to have fun. They're here to support their families, and they're here for financial reasons. So the incentives is very important, as far as, base pay, and then commissions, and other things that I try to offer them is just, motivation. I'm pretty big on trying to make them believe in themselves, stay positive. But the main incentives, and I do a lot of awards, so I love this award ceremony you guys are doing. I think that's a great way to just recognize and appreciate each other. A lot of meetings we have about teamwork. Sometimes that's not the best, so I have to work on that. It's almost like I'm in HR. That's like my main job. Because at the end of the day, the team culture is really what is going to sustain itself to the longer production. Sometimes you can have short-term goals by just transactional sales, but to really build a business, team culture is the most important thing. So, but I think one of the things that I shouldn't leave out and emphasize is that the incentives is important too, because employee retention is just such a key thing on my mind. And just if you have somebody that's really great in your staff, you just want to just a superstar, you just want to just reward them because they're just so worth it. So in Southern California, a top sales position in a company will make over $100,000. So that's something that's achievable at my agency, I'm proud to say. But a good agent should be making 60 to 80 and up, over 100,000 too. A good CSR is 50,000 and up, and it kind of depends on your market. But incentivizing comes in all different types of forms. And it's also important, and something that we're able to do is that we could understand each one of your staffs, what makes them tick, what motivates them, because everybody's a little different, so one staff members, and we have a lot of parents, so more time off, more flexibility is important to them. For others, they just want a lot of leads. For others, they want to feel part of the team. For others, they like training. One of them is, some of them are stronger at customer service and sales, which is totally okay. So understanding each staff member's strengths and needs I think, is very important when it comes to motivating them and incentivizing them correctly, because sometimes we don't want to assume everybody's, as money hungry as I am. Everybody's different, so it's important to understand your staff, which is really easy to do at our, our small business.
So your staff, Dan, how do they, with the exception of internet leads, you mentioned that before, what other avenues do you guys use to market for new business?
A big one is social media for us. Yeah, everything I do is mostly digital. Okay, social media is a big one. Internet leads, email campaigns, text campaigns, pretty much anything to build awareness through the phone is kind of my strategy. We don't cold call anybody. We don't send out any mailers. And a lot of the strategies I have when it comes to marketing is to try to get the prospect to call us. That's kind of like the holy grail of marketing to me, because nobody really likes to get phone calls anymore. It's just kind of it's kind of a desperate way to start a relationship. And obviously we will call them, but we wouldn't bombard them. And it's people just but I think it is a little bit more acceptable to email them, just spam them. So we send out a lot of emails, trying to get them to call them when it's convenient for them. And text messaging is a big, major game changer for us too. So sending out just tons of texts, tons of emails. Well, you do have to be careful, because there is a balance there, because if you're too aggressive, and the copywriting skills are so important right now, but if you do too much, then they'll unsubscribe. So that's a game that is something that I encourage everybody to get involved in, as far as what type of emails convert, what type of text convert, but automating that. But that's kind of like the the game plan I have when it comes to marketing in today's world.
And I know you've been growing, because we have pictures of your Facebook. You've been growing with staff. How do you find new, team members that work for you? And, what traits are you looking for when you are, hiring them?
Yeah, how do I find staff? That's a question I want to ask you guys. That's a major challenge. Sometimes when the marketing campaigns are working out pretty well, the marketing you have to figure out first, for everybody. Sometimes that comes first before the staff. But once you have the marketing kind of figured out, then the challenge becomes, how can I find staff and train them? Because to scale the business, as we talked about in the beginning, it's all about marketing and staffing. But that's the biggest challenge I have. I've used everything: ideal traits, team hire, Craigslist, natural market, social media. So I try everything, but it's definitely a challenge, and I feel like maybe I may need to make some adjustments when it comes to the base salaries, because it's pretty competitive, especially where our market is right now. Where I am, my office is located in Orange County, so it's a little bit harder. But I would say all the above. Natural market. Social media is a great one. I have $1,000 bonus for my staff if they refer me somebody. I have some siblings working here, so. However I could find them, some of the traits I look for, really, I just look for a great attitude and a great work ethic, activity and attitude.
I follow you on social media, and I've seen some of the videos you post monthly. And I see that sometimes you talk about, new staff, people that have come on board, and the incentives of when they're hiring their friends or someone that they know. So it kind of helps them train them as well, since they kind of onboarded them, correct?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point, Iggy. And it's really good to have good camaraderie in the office. and there's a sense of like familiarity, like we know this person, so they're not going to bring on somebody they're not really sure of, if they have bad attitude or not great work ethic, it'll kind of make them look bad. So they're not going to refer anybody they don't really, and they care about the team too, hopefully. So they will, most likely refer me somebody they have a good feeling about and they know that person personally. So that definitely helps.
Nice.
Some of the best hires have been that, actually, now that I think about it.
If you were to give advice to a new agent, what would it be?
New agent, okay, yeah, that's it's not easy, I think it's okay that it's not easy. I think that's first and foremost, that if you're not that's something that I really struggled with when I was new. I really felt like, man, what's going on? Like, how come I'm not winning the awards? How come I'm not selling all the policies? What's happening? Is there something wrong with me? And I would just have like a big sense of like, sometimes this happens when your ambitions are too big. Not too big, but ambitions are big, which is a good thing, but you have to balance that with patience. I think once I had more of a patient approach, understanding that this is a long-term game, you're not going to be successful in this business, or really any business, the first couple of years. And in fact, the less successful you are, meaning the more money you're putting back in, the better your future is. So if you're taking home not that much money, that means that you're actually, as long as you're selling and growing your book of business, that means you're actually doing a good job. So you're not really supposed to make a lot of money. You might have revenue, your folios might look good, but your expenses should be high, depending on, your ambition level too. But if you're not taking home as much, if your lifestyle is not changing, or if you actually have to downsize, if you're making these sacrifices, employee issues, when you're new, you don't have the experience to understand a lot of things, that you're just not going to be good. It's like starting a new sport, and it's okay to not be good, but having patience with yourself really has made me, once I understood that, hey, this is going to take some time, but I'm not going to give up. Once I understood that, I just became much more of a happier person. And once I became happier and understood, hey, this is okay, I'm just going to enjoy the journey, then I actually became better at sales. At that time, I started converting more because I was less in a rush. I just, if you have a better vibe in general, I think that translates to better business. So I started treating my employees better too, just having more patience with them. I think that's a major thing that I think when I was new, I just didn't have the patience with them. And I think that really hurt me. So understanding that, hey, this is going to take some time. You're going to get better. I'm going to get better as an employer, and we're going to get better together. Let's have patience with each other. And then once I understood that concept of like, just taking it easy on myself a little bit, but still having ambition, I think that is personally for me what I struggled with when I was new. So new agents just, believe in the process. I could tell you personally that it does pay off. But interestingly enough, the more you sacrifice, the more it sucks now. And the longer you can handle the suck, actually the better the future is. So sometimes newer agents, if they have a little success in the beginning and they don't make they don't keep making those sacrifices, or they start enjoying their lifestyle or spending more money on their personal expenses and not back into the business, that's really when things long term doesn't help your business. So, make the sacrifices now, pay the price now, because it does pay off in the future.
Awesome.
For sure. Absolutely. So Dan, next question I have for you is your sales reps. They obviously get a lot of objections like the rest of us do. How do they handle those objections during the sales cycle?
Yeah, sure. So depends on the objection, some people are just going to be price sensitive. And if it's like, hey, we're too much, then we just move on. There's really, you can't really handle that one. I think when it comes to sales reps, I think if they could sell 3 out of 10, they're superstars. And if they sell 2 out of 10, they're average. And if they sell 1 out of 10, you're not good, because 1 out of 10 times will be less. And when you're less, anybody could sell that. Maybe less than 1 out of 10 times will be less. I don't know about you guys over there, but they handle objections depending on the situation, so that is sales training 101. I think we got to build a rapport, get them to like us first, sell the coverage, so first we sell ourselves by building a rapport. We try to find ways to compliment them, congratulate them or console them in any way we can. If there's any opportunity to compliment them or congratulate them or console them, I think that builds, that human connection, that we're humans. And then when we go over coverage, we just have to kind of like, put it frankly, we just had to scare them. If you don't have the coverage, this can happen. And it's not like, blatantly just scaring them, but it's just in a realistic way, we're trying to provide protection. So we have to tell stories of how this could help them. And there's objections, my sales style is very non-pushy. That's how I train my staff too. Like, hey, I got to talk to my wife. I agree. I would have to too, and just be likable. And we don't want to, obviously, we have to ask for the close, and then asking for the close will actually get us the real answer of why they're not ready to move forward. And then we could pivot from there. But handling objections, I think it comes in different forms, and I just don't really like scripts and things that are like, if they say this, you got to say that, because every scenario is so different, and every person and every prospect is so different, and every agent is different, that I really let them kind of have the freedom to say what feels right for them. But I do like to be very involved in the training process. That's actually pretty much all I do. So I will listen in. I will have some training sessions and say, hey, maybe we could have said this during that scenario. But I don't think there is a one way to handle every the same objection, because there's so many different factors that goes into it. And the sales life cycle. So yeah, that also depends on the situation. I think it's very important for us to be very flexible when it comes to their situation. Some people don't have insurance right now, so that'll be a shorter one. We could be a little bit more aggressive. Some people are shopping, 1 month, the renewal's coming up. So that's going to be a little different sales cycle. We're going to follow up with them. We're going to mail them quotes. We're going to email them quotes. We're going to text them the quotes and follow up with them. Maybe a little bit softer and a little bit more stronger as the XA approaches. So I think, to answer your question, Matt and Niggy, we just want to really understand what the customers' need and wants are and adjust to them.
Excellent. Yeah, one last question, then I'll kind of open it up to the rest of the district and see what they have for you. FFRs, I'm sure you run those. I'm sure you have a huge client base there. What systematic process do you guys use? I'm curious to see what you guys use, if any, alphabetically, or how do you guys do that?
We do it off renewal, and it's really, this is something that there's a lot of things for my agency that I have to work on, to be honest with you guys. We sell a lot of policies. Our retention can improve. We do pretty, okay in life and commercial. So FFR is probably not our strong suit, but it's something that we definitely believe in. So right now it's a little bit more passive. It's more emails offering them. It's kind of similar to our sales approach. It's like, hey, just call us anytime you need anything. Your renewal's coming up. We want to go over your coverage and your discounts. And then people will call, but we should be calling them. When there's higher rate increases and things like that, and we try to figure out, hey, this scenario, we should definitely sell them or at least offer them a renter's insurance, because that would actually help them out with their auto insurance rates. Some situations are no-brainers. So, but our book of business and the staffing issue that I'm having right now, we just don't have the capability to call every single person, which I would love to get there. And that's actually also a staffing issue too, because I am a little understaffed, I feel like, and there's so much activity that we want to do. But one thing that I think it's just, depending on the agent's personality, but I just love sales so much that my focus always goes back to like, okay, how can we sell more? How can we sell more? But we got to take care of our current customers more and reach out to them and make more connections. But we do email our customers a lot too, though. So if they need anything, they know we're available. Our business hours are from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturdays we're open half day too. So we are very available for them. So when they call us, so it's a little bit more defensive. And passive. I wish it was a little bit more aggressive and more active. But that's definitely something that is on top of my to-do list for this year. And that's really the primary reason I want to have more staff. And that's something that I even though I don't do, in the past, I was doing it more actively, and I do believe in it. So Just because I'm not doing a great job at it, I wouldn't say something that we need to not do, because it is a great way to cross-sell, and cross-selling and retention. And those are, the keys to uh, agency growth.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Excellent. Good. And Kelsey, do we have anybody who's chatted in any questions so far?
We do not have anyone that's chatted in yet. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to open up the chat if you would like to ask Dan anything.
Hello, can you hear us? We do have a question.
All right, thank you. I was getting worried.
I was trying to figure out the chat, but I just unmuted, so I would just ask you. I know that you had, well, based on the pictures, I saw that you had 10 staff. So I was just wondering how many of those staffs are in sales and the other in service, or like how do you guys structure that in your office?
Yeah, sure. So out of 10 of them, 9 of them are licensed. Okay, but the ones that are doing mostly sales are probably 4 of them. I mean, not all 9 of them sell, but the top agents are the ones that have been with me the longest. So our top agent has been with me for 9 years, and that she knows how to sell, she knows how to close. So I will send her the most leads. When you start on when you start work, when I hire a candidate, they really start off as like a secretarial position, almost like administrative position. So it's very entry level, and then they move on to customer service, and then they get licensed. And even when they get licensed, I'm not going to give them a lead, because the lead, as you guys know, is a expense that I would want it to be closed by some and giving it to someone with a higher closing ratio. So the people that have been here mostly the longest, the top 3, 4 people, are mostly doing sales, but they do customer service too. The middle third, I would say, more recently got their license, 1 to 3 years. They're cross-selling, getting FFRs, and if they're not available, the top 3 agents aren't available, and the leads will funnel over to them, down to them. So they do have some opportunity, but not as much as the top 3 agents. So I would say everybody does customer service. Everybody should be doing sales, but the leads are getting sent to more of the experienced agents. So I would say the top 3 is really focused on sales. The middle 4 is really customer service and sales. And then the newer ones are mostly, to be honest, just doing customer service, but with the goal of increasing their income by getting involved in sales later. And as I find new customer service, then more people can move over to sales. So I kind of have like a pipeline of and a career path laid out for them when I hire them. So when I hire somebody, I tell them, hey, you're going to start from the bottom. You're not going to be selling insurance for a long time, even if you get your license, but you're going to have a chance, if you work hard, because, sales is the most difficult part of and the most valuable part of the business. So it makes sense that the most experienced, the most loyal, and the most skilled agents have the best results. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for asking.
All right, we have a couple questions that have come in via chat. So
right.
we got one from John Peck here. He's asking, do you have a standard interview sheet you use with potential employees, like a personality test, a behavior-based test, or style questions? And then do you put them on a trial basis, like 60 to 90 days to produce before you potentially cut them loose?
Okay, yeah, great question. So I do run through Ideal Traits. I think that's a great, service that they offer. See what their personality is. I do, and a lot of times I found out in the past that that's a good one. I like their service as far as finding out what their personality ambition is. They have short questions there too, so you can see how they answer them. The problem solving ones kind of gives you that's not everything, but if they're smarter, this helps in this business. But once I talk to them, it's really more conversational. It's not really like grilling them with like tough questions. It's more trying to feel like what motivates them, if they have communication skills. So I like to talk to them over the phone, because most of what we do is over the phone. So I spend a lot of time on the phone interview process, and then we do Zoom. and then we write emails back and forth, so to see if they could write professionally too. So I like to test them on that too. So I do a lot of things, and by the time they come into the office, it's almost like just a done deal, So I like to be efficient with the process too, by not having people come in all the time and finding out at that time that they're not really great communicators. So I have them leave voicemails and write me emails, so I could kind of get a good sense. But a lot of my interview styles is just just conversational. I do like asking them, and I am looking to see if they're how about the humility. I think that's a key factor, because I just don't want anybody new with the ego. So I like people with really humble attitudes. Hey, I'm starting from the bottom. I just want to help you guys. Those are the type of people that fits well with our team. And what was this? What was the second part to that question, Kelsey? It was a really good one.
The second part to that was, do you put them on a trial basis, 60 to 90 days to produce before you cut them loose?
Oh, right. So again, when I hire somebody, my expectations are low. I just can't expect somebody to, in 60 days, I mean, getting their license is just a good enough goal. I don't even have that for my staff, but depending on your agency's need. But if you really need to sell some policies, I will be doing that myself, and then just having somebody new just be your assistant. The expectations should be very, very low when you're new. And I think, in fact, when your expectations are low, you actually get off to a better relationship with them, because if your expectations are high, then you're actually frustrated with them, and that's not a great way to treat an employee. You just want to have a great, again, patience is a big believer in it. So 60 days, my only expectation is that you have a good attitude and you have good activity. That's really it. Like, if you have a bad attitude or if you're lazy, then that's something that a non-negotiable, that can't work. But if you have a good attitude and good work ethic, then we could work with you. But the expectation to be able to sell a policy within those first 60 days, that's tough, unless you find somebody with previous experience, which is impossible in my experience. So have really low expectations. That helps you. They're not gonna care about your business as much as you do. They're not gonna work as hard as you do. That's completely normal. I think that's one thing that agency owners struggle with, is like, why can't they work as hard as me? Or how come they're not good at sales as me? It's like, well, because they don't get paid like you. How much do you pay them? You want to give them half of your agency, they'll work as half as hard as you. So lower your expectation. And what's going to happen there is you're going to treat them better. And then in the long term, they're going to want to give back to you because you got them licensed. You were nice to them all this time. And they're going to, it's almost like you're guilting them into like being more committed to you, but you can't expect that in the beginning.
All right, thank you. We've got a couple more that have rolled in here. So the next one is from Jay Park, and he asked, what are the most effective lead purchasing services that you have used so far?
Lead purchasing services. So all web leads is a good one. Hometown leads is a good one too. But I also do, lead generation myself on social media. So social media is a big one, guys. I think everybody should be active on there. It's if nobody knows you, then we can't sell. If they don't know you, you can't sell to them. So it's just a great way to be transparent of who you are. We're just friendly professional insurance agents. So just being very active on there, and once you have connections and messaging them, just posting regularly that you're working hard, and sometimes advertising those posts too. I think that is a great way to target who you want to talk to, and find out who your target market is, and just get in front of them. And the content is a variable of a successful campaign or not. So it's not easy, but there's a lot of information on YouTube, a lot of tutorials. I spend hours and hours on digital marketing, but more and more, I have been shifting my attention from internet leads, but that's how I built my agency. So internet leads is a great one because the skill you develop to be able to sell internet lead, if you can sell internet leads, man, you're a good salesperson, so that's a difficult one, but one, if you could get good at it, then that's so scalable. So I want you to try those two, and that depends on your personality and your ad budget too, your marketing budget. But everybody I think should try both. But that's really where the world's going. You know, we're not going to go backwards. It's like the digital world is more important than the real world. Like who are you online? So being active on there, being relevant on there is so important. And even if it's an internet lead, then you could link it to your social media, show them what you're about. And the more you feel like you could get someone to feel like they know you, the better, because a lot of sales is, you know, trust, and putting yourself pictures, videos, and putting more content out there, out to the world, is really going to make them feel like, hey, I know this person. You know, there's no worry about like, who am I talking to? Who are you? They've seen you, they heard you, they know about you. And once you get to that stage, then the sales game gets a lot easier.
All right, thank you. We've got another one here from
All right.
Adrian. And he asked, what is the average cost of customer acquisition?
That's a great question. You know, even though I'm Asian, I'm not that into data. Everyone thinks I'm like all mathed out and I have like all these like analytics running and spreadsheets going all over the place, but I use intuition more. You know I'm not making money in the beginning, but I don't almost want to know. I almost just blindly put money into marketing because I know it works. So I don't run the ROIs and things like that, because it's okay. First of all, you know, my compensation plan, I pay them 10%. So that's we only make 9%. So, and I pay for leads, and I'm paying for the hourly. So I'm definitely not making money the first month when I want to buy it. But you know, when you buy a book of business, you know, you're spending money for the future too. So I look, it's a similar concept, but I almost don't want to know. And then, you know, so many policies vary because some of them are smaller, you know, liability only policies. Some of them are, you know, 3 cars with like, you know, 3 rental properties. It just varies so much that I don't really take the time to run the numbers, which I probably should, but I just really go off gut and feeling that this is working. You know, so that's why it's really difficult in the beginning when agency owners get into investing money on staff and leads, is that they do the math and they say, hey, this is not a good deal for me. I'm not making money right now, you know, but you will, as long as, you know, you have good enough customer service to retain them. And you know, one thing we could always count on is rate increases. So that helps out your premium. So, and then you could cross-sell them and you could get referrals. So it's just really difficult to like calculate ROI in this business. To me, if somebody has a great way to calculate it, I like to see it, but it's just, I don't like to get too involved and go into the depths of like, okay, how much I made per this lead, because there's so much factors. Who knows? They're going to renew. They're going to be with you for 20 years, maybe. You know, so the lifetime value, they may refer you 5 people. You know, they may cancel in a month, yes, or, you know, but they might buy a home later. There's just so much variables. But if you have a long-term feeling and just really don't want to get into too much of the short-term metrics, because those don't look as good.
All right, thanks. We've got a few more here. So we've got another one from Jose and his team. How do you handle renewals? Is there any software you use to streamline your renewals?
Yeah, good question. The renewals, you know, Farmers provides us a list, so we put them in Google Sheets. So it's a shareable spreadsheet. So there, you know, all the team members can look at it, but we do have a specific team member responsible for that. So mostly they're, you know, again, that person responsible for the farmers auto renewal, and then we have farmers home renewal, and then we have the Bristol West, you know, renewals. So, and then those renewal lists and other renewal lists, but we have people assigned to them, and then it's in chronological order. They see people renewing and it's like, oh no, this one's going up, so they'll reach them out. This person hasn't paid, so we reach them out. So we have somebody assigned to that, and I could see their activity on there, what time they left not what date they left the voicemail, what time they emailed, they CC me on emails. So we like to have somebody that's responsible for that list. You know, that's your list, you know, and we handle renewals by just really just looking at them that way.
All right. The next one is from Erin. She asked, on new hires, do you start with salary or hourly wage?
I like hourly. You know, hourly is fair. You know, we have a lot of moms, you know, family comes first. So you need time off, you know, you need time off. So there's no questions asked. Your family comes first. So hourly works out better for me. That's always kind of how I've done it. And I think, yeah, that's an easy question. Yeah, for me.
All right. One from Raphael. He's asking, do you do any role playing with your agents?
No, I should do more, but I do subscribe to the role play with the Olsen agency. We follow them closely. We participated in their role play, and that's something that I'm new to, but I believe in. You know, I think, yeah, you guys should check them out. They have so much great content when it comes to training. It has made my training better. You know, they definitely know what they're doing. So that's something that we've tried. We just started doing, and we've seen some results when it comes to how to handle, like we talked about, objections and different scenarios and things like that. So practicing totally makes sense. You know, I used to think that my job was to just really motivate, you know, and get their mindset right. And I was a big believer in like, hey, let's like really get motivated here. And that's the value that I'm bringing. But I don't think I was really into too much of the technical side, you know, and that's something that I am adding more this year, because I do know that their mindset is good. Now I have to really, you know, work on the fundamentals but the mindset, they're both important. But the technical side, the role playing is really helping.
All right, we've got a similar question from two agents, Eric and Jay. So Eric's asking, how have you handled the transition from Sims to Apex? And then Jay asked a similar question, how has Apex integrated into your agency?
All right, so we might have to edit this part out if a corporate sees it, but you know, honestly, I've kind of had my own system, you know, so I haven't used either one. I have a lot of like automations, you know, texting, emails, people unsubscribe, people sell, they take it off list. So I have a whole complex system that I've developed myself. So I don't use both. But if you don't have one, I think it's a great resource that the company has provided for us if you don't have one, you know, because having something is so much better than not having it. I just personally like, you know, I already have something, so I didn't want to, you know, throw that away and start new. And I think Apex, once I have the time to look at what it can do, I'll probably implement that too. So I have both, which is something I am planning to do. So if you're not have any type of automation system or lead management system, then you have to have one. So I will start with Apex. But me personally, I've just been buying leads from 2007. I've had lead management systems that I kind of built out myself. So I personally I have my own. But you definitely have to have some sort of lead management system.
All right, let's see. We've got two last questions here. So let's see, we've got another one from Eric asking, how much time do you have your staff spend on training in the University of Farmers?
Again, we'll edit this part out, but only the required ones. But I spend a lot of time training them. You know, I personally feel that it's the agency's responsibility to train their staff. You know, and we know we're in the trenches. The agency owner should have talked to a bunch of people, and they know their market and they know how to do the business. So I personally prefer and recommend the agency owners to take that responsibility themselves and not say, hey, watch a video and hopefully you know how to do it, because each scenario is so different and there's just something to say about being available at that very moment and training them at that very specific situation. It just retains better than watching something that is not at that very moment. So I think that in general, I'm a big believer in training, and I feel like the agency owner should be training their staff themselves.
Quick question, Dan. I know you write a ton of premium. You know, on average, how much premium do you write a month, and how do you determine like goals for your staff? You know, because obviously I follow you on social media and I see some of those numbers. I'm like, man, I wonder how the staff, he breaks up those goals for his team members.
Yeah, thank you, Iggy. 300,000 is our goal right now per month. We've hit that once. So to answer your question, the expectation really depends on how much leads I'm providing them. You know, I think one of the things that agency owners could get in trouble is like they have this high expectation, but they're not providing the leads. So it's almost like the expectation should be the accountability for the agency owner, like how many leads am I purchasing for them? And that kind of determines the expectation, because it's hard for them to sell policies when they don't have people to talk to. So that really depends on my spend, my marketing budget. So that kind of determines that. And same thing for each, you know, individual staff members. Like if I'm sending a bunch of leads, then my expectation is higher. But if I'm not sending you any leads at all, then it's okay for you to sell less than 10,000 that month, 10,000 in premium that month. It totally makes sense. So the expectation really depends on what you're giving them, you know. And I think agency owners, I really want them to understand that, to expect more from yourself. Like, what can you do for them, rather than expecting more to have them give to you. So I kind of like to flip that philosophy, and I kind of determine that. But you know, we have high goals for ourselves. So you know, last year, for most of the year, from the beginning of the year, it was 200,000, and then in the middle of the year we were like, okay, let's get to 250. This year's 300. We hit that once. Getting to 350 is going to be very difficult without more staff. I'm really itching to be able to hire staff. The newest person is about to get or is taking her license test next week. So it really, the expectation really depends on how many staff members I have and how many leads I'm purchasing.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, no, thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up with two final questions here. So the next question is going to be from Itzel, and she asked, what are some of the things you do to motivate your staff?
Man, that's everything. That is a great question. Well, first of all, I think the compensation has to be performance-based. You know, that's why having a lower base and having higher income potential based on performance, I think helps, because we want to incentivize good behavior. So, and they also understand what's good behavior. So writing out, you know, if you get a renewal payment, if you get a 5-star review, if you, add a car and a driver. So having little incentives help too. The sales is an easy one because that's a percentage. And then I motivate them by just really committing to them. I just commit to them, and hopefully they commit in return. So once they see that, hey, I'm understanding, I'm reasonable, I have their back, I'm committed to their career, I provide opportunities for them, then I think we talked about this a little earlier, then I feel like that, commitment comes back in return. So I motivate them by just trying to be the best employer I could possibly be and offering everything I can. And if it doesn't work out, which has happened many times, I just try not to get sensitive about it. It's just some people don't. I think a natural human being is someone's trying to help you and doing everything they can for you. They want to give back to that person. And some people try to take advantage of that situation. And if that's the case, then, it doesn't work out, it's okay. But if you find a good person, naturally, if you do everything you can for them, they're going to want to give back to you. And I think that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to motivating them, is to just give. That's why, when I say, I only sell 2 policies, because I'm too busy just motivating them. If I have a personal referral that says, hey, Dan, I want to buy a policy from you, I'll just give it to my staff because that's an opportunity for them. So I try to give them everything I can. And that way they're motivated, they're making higher income, because I know that if they're making higher income, that's going to help with retention. Employee retention is so important. And if I'm providing an opportunity, then better things are going to happen for me in the future. And frankly, it's not. I really get a lot of fulfillment out of them reaching their goals. So really caring about them and trying my best to provide opportunity for them is how I feel like I could try to get them to be motivated.
All right, thank you for that. And our final question comes from Jose and his team, and it is, what platform on social media do you focus on the most?
I do mostly Facebook. Facebook is the monster player. Everybody's on Facebook, especially the older clienteles, which is more of a preferred market. But Instagram works great for because we have a younger staff member, so we do well with younger. People may say, hey, it's kind of like non-preferred, substandard, but hey, Farmers Insurance has great products for broad ranges of people. So, and Instagram actually works better for recruiting too, but mostly Instagram and Facebook is what I'm paying attention to. But that depends on your market and your target audience. I would love to have more time to be on LinkedIn. I think that's a major player. um and some people laugh, but I feel like I need to start looking at Snapchat and TikTok too, because there's a lot of tension there, and that's younger, but we're all getting older as we age. So I think that's something that but to answer your question, Facebook is just the no-brainer for insurance agents, I feel like. So I would say Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
All right, we've had a couple other questions roll through. Matt and Miggy, how are we on time? Do we want to ask one or two more?
Dan, do you have time for a couple more?
Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to.
Okay, well, why don't we take those last couple, Kelsey, that just came in, then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
I know some of you guys are itching to get your awards, though.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's see here. We've had quite a few, so I'll just pick and choose the last couple here. All right, one from Michael Alvarez. What is your niche? Is it personal, auto, home, life, commercial? Where are you spending the most money for leads?
Mostly auto. The only reason for me in particular is because I kind of have a need for volume. So everybody shops for auto insurance. But if your niche is homeowners insurance, and if you don't have that big of a budget, then I will start there. That's where I started actually. But then as my need got bigger, there wasn't enough homeowners insurance lead volume for us to stay busy. So auto insurance is kind of what we lead with, but that's a personal question for me. I think a more important question is like, what product do I feel most confident in? Who do I like talking to? And figuring out what every agency and every even producer has a specific product that they're more comfortable in or more confident in, and also finding out what product your company is competitive in too, and playing, and finding out your first, where you want to enter into the household is very important. Me personally, it's auto, which is a very difficult one, but that's what it is for me, because I just need that volume to keep us busy. But I think that is a question for me personally, but that's something that I think agency owners should ask themselves, because everybody is different.
All right, we've got another one here from Joe D'Angelo. How do you structure your commissions to your staff? Is it a percentage or is it based off of numbers of policies sold?
It's definitely based on premium. I think that's very important because you could sell a renter's policy, or you could sell a 4-car auto with teenagers. So it's definitely based on premium. I actually have a video on my YouTube page that actually kind of breaks that down. So that might be a little bit more efficient use of our time here. But to answer that question, it's mostly off new business. Okay, so I have a base, and it's actually all off new business. So I don't have a renewal piece, but the new business is 10% of the 6 months premium over the 12 months premium. So it's higher than what actually I get, because we get 9%. So I pay 10%. So my philosophy is just, I need to have them motivated, and I need them to, and it's difficult to sell insurance. We know that. So for it to make it worth it for them to go the extra mile to try to close the business, the upfront commission I think is very important. I think when you have it in the back end, it's like, okay, 50% now, but 50% 6 months later. That's more of an agency owner's view. In my perspective, even though that has worked well for many agency owners, mine is more front end, because they're worried about the rent, they're worried about short term, and that's okay. Again, I'm thinking long term, so I'm okay with more upfront, even if I'm losing money right now, because as agency owners and business owners, we're in it for the long run, and I think it's totally okay for the producer to be more thinking short term, and I want them to be rewarded as soon as possible for their production right now.
All right,
Thanks, Dan.
we'll go ahead and do a final question again here from Itzel. And the question is, what is your follow-up system like? What system do you have set in place?
So that's where the automation really comes in place. You know, the automatic emails, the automatic text messages. So that's automated. Now the producers themselves, they're following up as well, but I don't have any strict, you know, guidelines to say, hey, this day you got to call, this day you got to call, because it's really important. Again, we talked about it, but we got to be flexible with each scenario. You know, if it's a small policy, maybe we're not following up with them as much, and that's okay. But if it's a bigger, larger premium, or it's a more complex situation, that's going to require more attention. So we just really can't have the same follow-up system for every lead, you know, every prospect. So being flexible and just having, you know, I just trust them that they know the producer should know, or hopefully know, what's best for that exact scenario, because some renew in 2 months, some renew in 3 months, some don't have insurance. So I let them decide that. But same thing, it's on Google spreadsheets. I see their notes. I see what type of activity they're having. So the follow-up system, definitely have an automated email, definitely have an automated text. That's a must. But the rest, what the producer's actions, I leave that up to their own judgment.
All right, thank you, Dan. I think that's all we have for questions.
All right, great. Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. It's really great. Congratulations to all the award winners. I know this business isn't easy, so I really want to, you know, congratulate all you guys.
I apologize, Dan. I was trying to mute another agent and it reordered and muted you on accident. So if you could just unmute yourself, I apologize for that.
Okay. I thought you wanted out of here now, Kelsey.
Sorry about that. We were getting some feedback from someone else and it reordered.
No, I was just saying, hey, thank you guys for having me. This job isn't easy. This business isn't easy. So I really want to congratulate all the award winners for having an amazing 2020. And looking forward to, you know, seeing you guys progress. I could tell from Matt reaching out to me and just from the interaction you guys were having that you guys have a great team here, you know, friendly team, very excited team. And I could tell that Matt has the passion to find, you know, ways to help out his agents. So you guys are, I could just already tell that you guys are under a great district. So I wish you guys the best for 2021 and beyond.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for your time today.
Yes,
All right.
thank you so much for your time, and we wish you and your team the best this year, and hopefully we'll see you at the next Achievement Club, okay?
Okay. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you,
Take
Matt.
care.
Thanks,
See you
Dan.
guys.
Again. All right, bye.